Thank you for joining us on the program. Now, more than 150 rights campaigners from around the world gathered in Paris on Monday, warning of a spike in the number of activists being murdered for their work. Amnesty International and the International Federation for Human Rights, who are behind the Human Rights World Summit, say at least 312 activists were murdered in 2017. This represents a doubling in the murder rate since 2015, and this they said in a statement. Now, human rights issues in Africa have always dominated the headlines, and we take the latest from Equatorial Guinea, where a human rights defender was recently attacked.
And to talk about this, we're joined on the line by Florent Gilles, the Africa Director of the International Federation of Human Rights. Hello, Mr. Gilles. So this is the second World Summit of Human Rights Defenders. The first one was 20 years ago. What are the developments of the last 20 years with regards to human rights? Over the past 20 years, it can be noted that human rights defenders have become key actors in both political and geopolitical life in modern societies. And at the same time, these human rights defenders are increasingly under attack because of their work. Yesterday, the barometer of public freedoms was established. That is, when human rights defenders are attacked, it means the human rights are attacked. It has now become an indicator of where we need to fight. Today, human rights defenders are concerned with the right to land, the right to water, the right to housing, abuses against populations, mass crimes, and also the right to the environment. They have invested all sectors of society to try to defend a universal vision, one for the people, and they are also now in contact with the people.
Pour les populations, et ils sont aujourd'hui au contact des populations.
So what is the important information coming from the African continent? On the African continent, what we need to remember for human rights defenders is several things. First, it's the rights of victims. Today, it's difficult to get justice. Human rights defenders are trying to stand by victims, and today, they are denied this right. The International Criminal Court is highly criticized, but national courts are unable to give victims of mass violence a just reaction, for instance, to try the perpetrators and compensate the victims for the violence committed against them. Human rights defenders are also stigmatized by authorities in power, sometimes wrongly considered terrorists, sometimes considered as obstacles to get into those circles, and most often watched or imprisoned, sometimes murdered. This is more rarely in Africa, but it does happen. So what can we expect from the summit in terms of human rights protection? The Paris Summit 20 years ago led to the so-called United Nations Declaration on Human Rights Defenders. That is a declaration that recognizes the rights of human rights defenders and protects them. A number of mechanisms have emerged from it. A United Nations Special Delegation on Human Rights Defenders, a special representation within the African Commission on Human and People's Rights on behalf of defenders. We started to pay attention to defenders and their safety. This summit, which is being held this year, recalls the summit of 20 years ago and takes stock of the past 20 years and also tries to promote a new protection for human rights defenders. This summit, 20 years later, serves as a reminder of the importance of human rights defenders in our modern world and reminds us that these human rights defenders need to be protected in order to be able to witness violations that exist and to be able to report on those violations that are taking place around the world.